All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Devstream 190 breakdown. First and foremost, my apologies, this is out a little later than I might have wanted. Lots of Halloween things going on today for me. So a bit later on the breakdown. Again, my apologies. With that, we have a ton to talk about with kind of part one of our two Devstream talk about what's going to be in the old piece. This dev stream is focused on the Devil's Triad side of things, and the November dev stream, which will be the next one, and presumably the last one of the year, is going to be talking about all of the stuff going on to the actual old piece side of things. But for now, we're focusing on the Devil's Triad, and we have a lot of important details about that. Before we get into that, let's talk about the QTCC rewards, kind of just the major ones. There's, of course, a bunch of other things that are like in-game rewards and just different alerts and stuff to pick up. But just the overarching rewards here that I think are kind of the tip of the spear, as it were. First and foremost, we got the Varuna Deluxe preview, and with today's stream, we got kind of an update with some coloration on the skin. This is just a concept, and like most just a concepts, I need to see the in-game model before I really judge it in any given real way. Overall, I think it looks fine. I do think, like most people, I was kind of expecting them to use the like new fur and hair tech stuff that they have been working on for such a long time on a like new big Varuna skin, but we don't see that here, which I know has disappointed a number of people. But again, I want to see it in game before I'm disappointed in this or something, because it's kind of ridiculous to judge it completely before then. With that though, the other deluxe skin related to this is the Zephyr Deluxe skin. This is the total raised, which is tremendous for QTCC. And also everyone will be getting the Zephyr Deluxe. Maybe that's the final thing that will boost Zephyr's criminally low play rate for how good she is. But I somehow doubt it. For whatever reason, people just don't play the bird. Besides that, we got the announcement of TennoCon 2026. The dates for that, the 10th and the 11th. It is going to be another 2-day joint, which sounds awesome. This year was the first time they did 2 days, and it was the best TennoCon that they have ever done, in my opinion, as someone that's been to all of them. And I am looking forward to and hoping to go to this one as well. So should be a great time. That's kind of just like the basic other announcements surrounding this to go over. But let's jump into the Devil's Triad parts, because there's kind of a lot here. First and foremost, Devil's Triad, for those that do not remember, it is after the old piece. So you're going to interact with this content once you're done with the actual old piece quest. With that, we now know what this is on a very, very basic level. So this is the in the Sanctum Anatomica, which is the Entradi Labs. You are going to get a new portal to the Cathedral, which is XX99. So it is another 99 year, presumably before 19, presumably quite a bit before, not too much though, of another year that Entradi visited and of course did shenanigans in, as he is wont to do apparently. With that, I would love to hear everyone's theories on which 99 this is, as I'm sure there are some history majors that could probably take a few clues here and there from the bits and pieces we've already seen about what exactly is going on in like the world maybe at this time, and like the fake different Earth that is a part of Warframe, as that might be kind of an interesting thought experiment. But basic TLDR, it is a different 99 that we're going to be interacting with. That is where the new protos are going to reside. With that, this is Leon, Marie, and Roth. Roth, for those that don't remember, is an Orokin that was sent here, who is also Uriel, our new Warframe for the old piece update. For this, there are a few things that are worth noting. First and foremost, each of them gets their own individual Kim. Great. Love to see it. Love the Kim system. All of them are romanceable, and notable with that, you don't have to like break up with your 1999 partner in order to date them. Apparently, if it's at least 100 years apart, it's probably fine. I guess that you're cool, even if that's cheating. But 100 years is 100 years, I guess, right? With that, they will not have like a move-in state that the 1999 characters have. Instead, there's going to be a dates system where you will like have them go to like different settings and have dialogue and like more interactable, like longer scenes that are also going to be like capture enabled and all kinds of stuff like that, which is an interesting way to go with it. You know, good to see more kind of expansion and things to try with the Kim system and just like how they can use it in different ways. Really cool. In terms of actually conversing with them, even though they are in like a prior 1999, they will still just use the PC. It's just going to be a different tab in the PC. And also, as part of this, we did see that the Orokin armor that you can see Roth wearing, the operator and drifter will get a version of that. Now, let's talk about a bunch of mission stuff before we talk about Uriel, as there's actually kind of only a very little bit to talk about with Uriel's actual abilities. So, new mission structure, or new structure, and missions are going to be more on the November Devstream. New structure refers to specifically that DE has kind of said that they're done with basic syndicate stuff for a while. This is, of course, like kind of, we have a little bit of that with the Noko syndicate, with like the mushrooms and collecting that and doing like different things. That was already a little bit different from what the syndicates traditionally are. We're not going to get any syndicates with this update. They will like maybe be a progression system, of course, that it may be in the syndicate menu, but it's not going to be the get this much rep, give them some stuff once a day type beat, which I personally really look forward to, the different progression systems that they're going to mess with and just like try out a bunch of different things. Also with this, as you can obviously see just from this first screenshot, the operator drifter visual update. This is the most exciting thing that they showed off by like a fairly large margin, and there's a lot that they showed off. This, I mean, just looking at it, like even just like the kind of basic looking operator they started us on with like an old hair that most people I don't think like, this looks so much better than operators look right now. This is such an intense glow up of the operators and also the drifters, because the drifter is also getting these improvements. You can see just like in this, there are 7 menus just for like your facial features and all of that stuff. There are like way more just options in general. Like you have like the eye glow that now has like a strength modifier. Like the eyebrows have like all kinds of different options of their own. Like everything has been separated out. Like the face paint and like makeup stuff like looks incredible. Like this to me is a new bar, at least in the free to play space, for like what character creation can look like, and is such a degree of upgrade from what we saw that it is unbelievable that they are, giving us this alongside like a major update. Like this in years past would be like the feature of an update. It would be like this and a Warframe, and like that would be a ton in terms of like the amount of work that has clearly gone into this system. Like case in point, this screenshot that I pulled specifically is of one of the original operator hairs, which is a 22. Lots of us used that. That was kind of like the OG best hair that you could like pick, basically, that many people used forever. And like the state that it is in now is an unbelievable improvement from its original implementation. The operators look so much better. Alongside that, the drifters are also getting all of the same improvements. They don't look as different because, of course, the drifter is just newer in general anyway. But you're getting the still like the breakout of all of the different features. All of the hairs are being updated. So much is being done here to update our operators and our drifters. Like just an unbelievable amount of work. With that, they did talk about some options you're going to have whenever this update launches. And they're basically 2 things. Number 1, they're going to do their best to convert whatever you have now into the new system. And that's going to be one of your options. The other option is actually a really interesting and good solution, which is they're going to let you have the option to just replay basically the second dream sequence to redo your operator, which I think is super interesting. For me personally, I'm going to be really curious just what they would like translate my current operator into. And like if how good that's going to be across everybody's different operators. So if you remember, screenshot your operator before the update and then like what D gives you on the other side. I would love to have like a bunch of those screenshots to just compare like the glow up 1-to-1 in the way that like D converts the characters. Super interesting, looks amazing. Moving not to like talk about this too much, but it really is like an insane. I would, if you care about this kind of stuff, I would actually go watch this Because even in motion, like the lighting upgrades and stuff like that is like being done on the skin and everything is so impressive. I would go watch this section of the dev stream because it's like pretty crazy. Like especially all of like the choices for the different face paints and stuff and like the different texture work. And like you can see like levels of wetness and stuff on the makeup and things. It's really, 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 really impressive. With that, we also are getting gameplay stuff. A pretty expansive amount of gameplay stuff, seemingly, as there is a big new weekly mode called Descendia. This is the Devil's Triad side of the gameplay. This is going to be the stuff that the Drifter is responsible for. Only the Drifter is going to be doing this, is what it appeared to be in the menus. And this is where you're going to be starting at the precipice, and then you're going to be descending 21 floors, presumably into hell. This is going to be a variety of game modes, combat and non-combat. The things that we saw them go through on the first 7 floors are just like generic kill everybody, a race through a bunch of checkpoints, a necromech stage, a boss stage, just a good variety of like chunks of 7 floors. And speaking of chunks of 7 floors, there are going to be checkpoints, so you don't have to do it all 21 floors in a row. You can stop at individual checkpoints and come back to it later. So it's not a really, really big thing that you have to do kind of all at once, which I think is good. This is great. I mean, I think that myself and many others in the community have talked about like a tower mode, where like usually we talk about climbing a tower, but going down isn't too different. And I think this entirely delivers on that kind of just general concept we have seen in other games in a way that feels super Warframe. It is worth noting that these rewards that they show here are not final at all. They're all just placeholder. So it's not going to be Steel Essence on regular path. Presumably there will be some Steel Essence on Steel Path, but we don't know what the rewards for this mode are at all at current. With that, the other side that we know is called the Parita Rebellion in the old piece. That is the operator side, and that we're going to get more info on that on the November dev stream. Other than that, though, with the old piece, we know we are getting a new Prime, of course, and it's the one that we kind of all expected. Like, you know, they could have mixed it up with some other choices, but we all pretty much anticipated that it was going to be Gyre. So Gyre Prime is coming with the Ultranox Prime and the Kestrel Prime. For me personally, I mean, if you know how I probably feel about these 3 primes. Gyre Prime is, you know, criminally undertuned. She doesn't work with some of the things that she probably should work with. She's a victim of a nerf due to her causing some crashes and then not getting appropriate number buffing to bring her strength back to what was causing the crashes, but was very good when you weren't crashing. So she's been in a state where she is like clearly built as a damage dealer with abilities that crit, and she just really doesn't do that much damage. Hopefully we see some buffs, but usually with end of the year primes, it just doesn't happen. And really with primes just in general recently, it just hasn't been the case. So I'm not expecting much. She does look great though. I've always liked how Gyre looks, and I think the prime is no exception to that. But hey, we're always hoping for a buff for her instead of an augment to add to the pile. Other than that, the Ultranox, obviously a weapon that is cool, but has never once been relevant. I don't think that Prime stats are probably going to turn that around. And for the Kestrel, kind of the exact same thing. They didn't talk about any unique gimmicks that either of these are going to have. And they both will need one if it is going to make them really relevant weapons at all. So going to be a very pretty, but probably not very impactful Prime access by all appearances. With that, speaking of appearances, we are going to get another new system in the old piece that we didn't know about, and it's one that I've kind of been talking about like a little bit from time to time over ages, just because so many other games do this, which is a title system. This is cool, and like it's light, but I think it adds another layer of like the kind of collector vibe that I know I personally appreciate, and I'm sure a lot of people do. They're going to be adding, I think they said 50. It's going to be like 25 like new content ones and like 25 old content ones, titles to the game, like just different things to basically attach to your account, where it's like you'll be username and then the title, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, or whatever, the destroyer, so on and so forth. For the titling system, this is super cool. I think that this is like a nice thing for flavor. It's good for just like, you know, marking account progress. Doing special things gets you special rewards, and you know, just some words on screen, which is really all a title is the easiest reward in the world to possibly give you. and they can attach it to the hardest, most stupid tasks, right? Like you could get the title 9999 for killing your first level cap enemy. I think that would be cool. And you know me, I'm not the level cap guy in general. I'm never like really advocating for that. But as a title, yeah, that would be sick. I think they should do something like that. But those types of things getting added to the game, it's cool flair for people to put on their profile and show off and like collect. And I think that's really good. With that focus rework stuff, we saw one more Tauron strike that I want to talk about. It is Unairu's, which is a big ol' hammer that drops a ton of universal orbs and ammo. Nothing else really to talk about besides that. Of course, I'll probably want to review kind of the whole focus rework when it's all together. And of course, whenever I can test it in game, whenever the update actually launches. But pretty interesting that this is like a seemingly huge utility one. And this would, of course, be like a huge energy generator. And that being on Unairu instead of Zeneric is compelling for the different focus schools having more different options for what they can be used for. Unairu is very offensively tilted, or, well, removing defensively tilted, which is, of course, the same as offense in many cases. But adding huge amounts of energy generation and health and ammo generation to that could be pretty compelling for it being a more generically usable class, basically, to be using. With that, there is like one downside to this overall Devstream, and that is that wall running is moving to 2026. So for those that saw the demo, they showed a bit of like the, just, get on the wall and stick to the wall and run all over it, kind of like closer to like the classic way that we would run on walls in very, very old Warframe days, kind of like, parkour 1.0 type style. That stuff has proven to be very complex, as it turns out it is. And that stuff is moving to 2026 for when we're actually going to be getting it. This is a minor loss. For me personally, I think it'll be cool to have this feature back, but I don't think it's vital at all to like, what's going to make the old piece the old piece. You compare this to what we had last year, which was like, oh, the coda system is going to be pushed to a next update. This is really, really minor comparatively. Though I know it is something that people are excited for. It is the one minor bummer that we talked about, that got talked about on this dev stream. With that, we have one last thing to talk about, and that is just Uriel's partial abilities. We got basically his passive and also his first ability. His passive is 3 Lesser Devils. He has summons that are just always active. And then his one, which is curious. His one is it turns bullet jumping into flying. And because that is nonsensical, I'm going to show it to you instead, because it is really self-explanatory whenever you just watch them do it, where you just, instead of bullet jumping as usual, you become a spinning death cloud that is presumably intangible, and you can hold right click out of this to just like hang in the air and aim wherever you want, and then you can re-up it from that position and just be able to fly around. It's basically just you turn into like Titania flight, essentially, but you have to go forward as a bullet jump. Pretty interesting. It'll be curious how this will be built. Like if you want to build for like parkour speed to make this like super fast, could be really interesting. But it is his first ability. With that, the 3 Lesser Devils thing, the way this was described by Pablo is that basically you want to use your abilities as a reaction to what your devils do. They're always there, and then they will do things that presumably will give you a reason to cast their associated ability, as opposed to you commanding them. They give you reasons to hit your buttons, which is a compelling and interesting problem to solve. I will say that, traditionally, Warframe summons, not particularly useful. They usually, to avoid like the ability for the game to play itself, they're usually quite ineffectual in the majority of cases, and we'll kind of see how that works out to be here. I'll be unsurprised if the 3 summons are mostly there for like flavor, and then the abilities are good just kind of on a routine. Whenever the summons do their thing, the abilities become like way, way better. That would be relatively unsurprising to me. But it sounds like cool thematically, and probably will work into like the story with Uriel and Roth just in general. But yeah, that is the Devstream 190 breakdown. Really cool stuff. Again, the operator stuff, unbelievable stuff visually. I think this is like legitimately setting a new industry bar for like what characters can look like in free to play games, like actually for real. Which is great. I mean, we love to see that. So great Devstream, really, really good stuff. Super interesting how they're going to like work this into the story and like what Intrati has been up to in a prior, like earlier time, and like what that means for where we're going for next updates, and like how this is going to tie specifically to the old piece as well. But I mean, we'll see all that stuff in the actual update, and presumably we'll get a few more details in the November dev stream. So very much looking forward to that. Regardless, that is going to do it for this video. I will see you all on the next one. And so ends another video. Again, thank you all to my $10 patrons: Athean, Eighth, Albern Drake, Alex Barnum, Arbiter Daydream, Baby Hoot, Barkus, Benuven, Bossmatic, Brutus Salazar, Piano Lathra, Club World 3, Dylan Dworsky, Ithrain, James Harthorn, JC4 Science, Josh, Nightcar, 1981, Lord Ian, Luzant, Matt Holt, Mike Kiesman, Mikokel, Michta, Nerve, Ruby, S267, who thank you for reminding me that this list was wrong in the last video, Sanu, Cezon, Sharp 247, The Coupon of Death, Waifu Wars, Baudette01, Zerafir, and Zero Weaves Planet, of course, all of the $5 and $2 patrons as well. You are all very much appreciated. There's getting to be very little time to say anything else at the end of these, so I'm going to keep it real. So the support is just wondrous.